Let me put them on their top so that people don't, I don't know, I feel like people won't click on this if they think I'm wearing the same top.
Okay, now lately, baby, I just ain't been giving no fucks, but I can't help but thinking maybe that my best ain't enough.
Okay, and that looks like a new day, even though it's the same day. So, today, we're gonna talk about SAIC's fashion program and how I applied, how I'm liking the program, different things about it. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh God, I'm cringy. Okay, so how I applied. It's gonna be our first topic. Can I put it right here? So when you apply, or actually here, let me start this off a little bit better. I'm editing and I just realized that I never explained how it would work if you were a transfer student. Basically, if you're a transfer student and you're transferring in as like a sophomore, you can still apply to the program. You would just be an incoming junior to the program instead of an incoming sophomore. And then you would be like a graduating junior in the program even though you're like a senior. But like, yeah, that's like a short abridged version of like how it would be if you were a transfer student. Yeah, unless you want to stay in the program an extra year, then that's up to you. But hope that helped. When you go to SAIC, whether you are coming in, let's give an example of if you're coming in as a freshman, because transfer students are a little bit different. So if you're coming in as a freshman, and it's like first year college, first year SAIC, your first year, you are mainly doing like core research and then another class, like a studio class of your choosing. If you want to do, you also have 2 other classes, but we're just talking about studios right now because I've already explained the class breakdown in another video. So like when you have your 3 studios, your 3rd studio, if you're interested in fashion, I would recommend taking like an intro to fashion class or like a shape and theory class, like about the body and like garments. Ben LaRose teaches a really good class on that. I don't know if freshmen can get into it. I feel like they can. I don't know. But definitely try taking some kind of fashion class, at least one of them, either in your fall or your spring semester. If you are interested in taking more than one fashion class, like between the 2 semesters, maybe like, I guess some good ones would be Intro to Fashion, Fashion Illustration, Ben's class, or like any fibers class, honestly, because fibers and fashion, hand in hand. You need to understand your fabric. You need to understand how your fabric works, how it's made. Because Yoshi, my teacher from this past year, she said, when you're using your fabric, you need to talk to it. You need to understand it. You need to become friends with it. You need to let it talk to you. So, I don't know. I feel like a fibers class is a really good way to do it. Even if it's like a dye class, even if it's an intro to fibers. The cool thing about a lot of fibers classes, you don't have to take intro to take the other classes. I never took intro to fibers. I just took a weaving class and I took a dye class this past semester. So back to my original point, I recommend taking some kind of class that revolves or like is about fashion so that you can understand or you can get like a peek into the fashion program, because fashion in SAIC, she's a lot. She's amazing, she's lovely, she's a lot though. Like, I love this program. I came here because I wanted to be challenged. I'm being challenged. Yeah, we'll get into my experience. I love it. Don't let my size and like expression scare you. I mean, maybe a little bit. You should be prepared. So I keep getting off tangent, but back to the original point. Just make sure you take some kind of fashion class or even a fashion in fall and then like a fibers in another. The cool thing about intro to fashion is that you can use that entire class as your application to the program. How that works is, as I said, like your first year, you're doing core and research for fall and spring. In the spring is when the applications open for fashion for SAIC. You'll be required to submit like 10 to 15 images of your work. They want to see like a mood board, your sketches, like a collection, not like sketches, like illustrations, your fashion work. And another really good thing that you should do is like mix it up. Don't just only put in fashion, because they want to see that you can be inspired in different outlets. I mean, if you're not inspired by different outlets and you just like fashion, I mean, like, I guess that's fine, but if you do other things, like, put it in there. Don't be afraid. Like, even if it was something you made in research or something you made in core, diversify your portfolio, just so that you can stand out a bit. Or if you don't want to diversify it, just try to make sure you do stand out with your fashion work. So yes, that's what they normally require. The reason why I said you can use Intro to Fashion to apply to the program is because you're basically doing what the application wants you to do in that class. You're creating mood boards, you're creating collections and illustrations of collections, you're doing fabric manipulations, which is another thing they want to see in that portfolio, so put that in there. You're making a final garment, even though like the intro class, it's not like you don't learn the things you think you're going to learn in intro, but you definitely do learn things. So that's like how you apply. You normally find out before the end of the spring semester, so that you can pick your classes. They tell you what class, like what number you will like put in for like the search when you choose your classes, and then you'll start in the fall. And the fashion program is 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior. In your sophomore year, you're making one garment, and you're also only allowed to use cotton, unless they change the requirements long after this video is being filmed. But they've been doing it like this for years. It's cotton only your first year. The reason why they do that is because cotton is one of like the most basic like fabric materials, and it's so that you can be challenged in like understanding cotton, because cotton isn't just one fabric. Cotton is like, I believe it's like 93 different kinds of fabrics that are made from cotton, because it does have to be 100% cotton. But don't let that like make it seem as though you're limited, because in all honesty, I remember my dad said an artist that can work within restrictions and make something amazing is really good at their job. So yeah, that's what you do your freshman year. Even though I should probably explain that a little bit better. Your fall semester of sophomore year, you are working on understanding the top pattern and the skirt pattern. You don't really touch on pants, things like that, suits yet. You just stick with the top, like learning about the top, the sleeve, the bodice, things like that. And then you understand the skirt. You do like a yoke skirt, you do pencil skirt, things like that. That's just your fall semester, so you can understand the basics and understand like the foundation of garments, because in all honesty, your foundation is really important, especially if you're making big structures. You need to have a foundation to support the big structures, because that's pretty much SAIC fashion, is just artistic, intense, huge, big. That's not your style. You can still push for what you want. I'll talk about that later. But yes, that is your fall semester. Granted, the other thing I should mention is in fall, you have your design and then you have your construction class. So your two different classes. In design, you are consistently making collections, like new collections, every like 3 weeks. So that means new mood board, that means new designs and illustrations, that means new manipulations, that means new color stories, that means new drapings. And depending on your teacher, drapings aren't just pin here, pin here. My teacher Ben, our drapings were sewn. So like it's basically like a small mock-up of your actual design. Granted, you don't have to make patterns for it, but it's still, you're still sewing it. But again, that depends on your teacher, I guess. And then in your construction class, that's where you're learning all of your construction basics. I had Yoshi, oh, God bless her, she's amazing. Like, wow, I stand, like, Yoshi, love her. She's just so good at understanding patterns. She's so good at understanding the body and how different patterns work, how different patterns look, how they, like, how you produce a pattern. I thought I knew a lot about fashion because I have been sewing since I was 8, and that's a while. And I've been making my own things and I've been making my own patterns, but when you get to that class, it's like a whole new world opens up. Like, there are different standards that you have to take into account. There are different things you need to put on your patterns that are so important, because you're also learning how people will have to interpret your patterns so that they can be produced. So yes, you have your 2 different classes in fall semester. In construction, you will get to make your final garment is like a top, but you get to choose what kind of top. So the other thing that's really important about that is they don't really just want to see a basic bodice. You already did that assignment like a couple weeks ago. This is your time to really like push the envelope and push the boundaries of what a top is, because that's pretty much what SAIC fashion is about, is pushing the boundaries of what this one garment is. Like, is a skirt really a skirt like this, or is it a skirt like this, or is the top, does the top look like that, or is it actually like this? You can really redefine things for yourself as long as you can actually explain it well. Don't just BS it just because you don't feel like doing something. Really put in the effort, because that's what this program is really about, is your effort. If you don't give effort, you're not really gonna get like something out of it, because there's no point, and you're also wasting 40 grand being in that school if you're not gonna put in effort. The other thing that happens in your sophomore year is, like, after your first semester, second semester happens. Even though you still have the 2 classes, in reality, like, when you sign up for them, it's one class, just 2 different days. So like, before, I believe like it'll still probably be this way. Like, you have fashion Monday, Wednesday. You either have construction Monday or construction Wednesday, and then vice versa with design. Like, they'll be on opposite days. It'll be similar in regards to spring semester. It's just that, like, your classes will merge a bit more, and you guys will interact a bit more, like your design and your construction classes, because in the fall you guys are really separated, but in the spring you guys are quite together. The other thing about spring semester is that entire time you're working on the one garment, you're working on the design, you're working on the research, you're working on the patterns, perfecting it, making changes. Like, it's just that one garment. So in my opinion, the spring semester in fashion for freshmen, sophomore, is like so much calmer than the fall, because I just feel like the fall was so intense. It was a lot, because you're doing so much for 2 different classes, but in the spring they become one and they're both working towards one goal. So to me, that was just not as intense. And I don't know, it was just really nice to have the teachers work together. If your teachers work together well, then it's even more amazing, because they bounce off of each other and like they help you to be even more successful together, because beforehand you just have them singularly. So yes, that is sophomore year of core. And then you go into your junior year. So junior year, you make 3 garments. That is in the spring, because like the garments you focus on is like the springtime. But what I believe happens in the fall is like you're learning the suit, jacket, the pants, and things like that. And like I think like a little bit of menswear in there. The other thing though about junior year is that you have a summer assignment. Rewind. In sophomore year, you also have a winter assignment. You always have an assignment during a break, no matter what. Whether it's winter, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's summer, you have an assignment for fashion. So now we're fast forwarding back to junior year. During the summer between your sophomore and junior year, you have a research project that you're given. It is about researching like a historical garment. You'll receive a paper that tells you what you'll have to do, but the historical garment that you research is the one that you will make in your junior year in the fall semester. That's like the first thing you do after you like present your research and the things that you've learned about that one garment. I don't know if they'll keep this because I know there's a lot of controversy around that project. I mean, I personally think it's cool because you're learning how things were made for that exact thing, and you have to remake it the exact way that it has been made in the past. So yeah, that's your first project junior year, and that's what I'm currently working on. I'm studying, researching a garment, trying to decide which garment to choose, and like just things like that. And yeah, I already mentioned you were working on the suit and the pants and like a little bit of menswear. And then in the winter, you have like your project to start thinking of like what you're gonna make for spring. I believe you even honestly start thinking about it in the fall, if I remember correctly, like from what my friends had to do. And then again, spring semester, you're just working on the 3 garments. You're revising, you're making your patterns, you're having fittings, you're the whole 9 yards. Junior year is a lot because you jump from sophomore year for making 1 garment, and then junior year you make 3. And it's funny because sophomore year, like you making that 1 garment, it's like, oh, la la la, 1 garment, I'm good. Junior year, 3 garments? Like, I've made 3 garments in like about 2 weeks, but like the intensity of how it's done junior year is different. Like, because you have so many fittings, you have so many like meetings about your research and your designs, and like, what does this mean? How does that add to your design? How does that add to your concept? So it's just like it's a lot more intense, in all honesty. I've been told that like sophomore year of core is like at least sophomore spring semester of core is like the simplest, but the fall semester of sophomore year is like the most intense, I guess, because like you're being thrown into like this world that you may not have dealt with beforehand. So yes, that's junior year. And then again, you have your summer assignment, you're working on your designs and stuff like that. Senior year is really about, because you're graduating, it's really about your 5 garments or more, like the minimum is 5. And you will, oh, it's a cat. I'm honestly not like fully familiar with what seniors do, because I don't think you're learning new patterns. I think you're just honestly working on your 5-look collection that whole year. For like that's what it seemed like, even though I did see them working on other projects like knitwear and things like that. I think that's when you get introduced to like the knitting machine and all that stuff. But then like in the winter, you're still like formulating your collection for the spring, and then you get right to work in the spring. Like I was seeing the seniors cutting their patterns in the lounge from like maybe 2-3 weeks into spring semester. It's wild, because they have a lot to do. They have to finish 5 garments in that 1 semester, and it's not even like they have the whole semester to do so, because the fashion show is like normally like the last day of classes, or like the last like weekend of classes. And then there's also the scholarship judging, which I'll get into at the end of like my description of the 3 years of fashion. Well, I guess we are at the end of the description, because that pretty much sums it up like in like quick terms. So the reason I mentioned the scholarship is every year at the end of the year, there are scholarships held for the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. There are about like 3 or more sometimes people chosen per year, like per class. But I believe in senior year, it's like one big award for like the graduating senior who wins the scholarship. The scholarship is really based off of your concept, your designs, your sewing abilities, and like how your garments have been crafted and your craftsmanship. It's really like they really want to see that you are able to illustrate your concept or formulate your concept into like real life pieces and like I guess how it goes. But in all honesty, when I talk to people about the scholarship, because we just had, not just, but we had a scholarship judging like a month or two ago, and people got their scholarships. It's really different every year because it's really hard to track what they're into because there are different judges every year, and different judges have different tastes. So like some people I've seen be very upset about not winning a scholarship, and rightfully so because you work really hard, but I've definitely seen it get a little catty and a little maybe you should take a seat, relax, you know. So that's my spiel on the scholarship. You'll learn more about it when you get to the program. Like you'll learn about like the amounts, because the amounts also change every year, so that's why I don't really see a point in me telling you guys like how much the scholarships are, because it changes every year. Yeah, so that's, let me look at what else we need to talk about. The other thing that I want to talk about is working in the fashion department. I started working in the fashion department this past year, so like fall semester, and I'm still working for them. Even though like we're like out of school, so like I'm not there, but like I'm still gonna continue working in the fall. In the fashion like service center, you will be working for Miss Dolly. Like if this is like your job, I'm just talking about it. You'll be working for Miss Dolly and Jaleesa. Miss Dolly has been there for years. She went to school there. She knows ins and outs of that school. Jaleesa also graduated from that school, and like from the program, I mean. And they are just really good people to have, and like really good people to talk to about the program and about just things fashion related. My job in the service center was basically about servicing the sewing machines, learning like how to fix them, how to fix problems, making sure that they're clean, making sure that they're working, helping students if they need help with like if something's wrong. And then like checking out materials to students, because we have a bunch of resources like pattern weights and knitting machines and like plastic forms and mini forms, and it's just like an abundance of resources. So if you are interested in that job, I'm not sure if they're hiring more fashion students. I think well, I mean, like I can't speak for them because like I don't hire people. I guess it really just depends on your work ethic and just like how about it are you about it? Like, will you come to work on time? Will you actually show up for your shift? Will you be communicative? Will you be a good worker? Will you be polite? Will you be able to handle customers, students correctly? Because when you work for Miss Dolly, like you really get a handle on like the ins and outs of the department. You don't get like a full handle, but like there are things you get to do and like things you get to see that like you don't normally get to see, like running to the basement and getting things and like running errands for different people. That doesn't happen always, but like sometimes like Jimmy will ask people to help with something. So that's like my little spiel on the job. I really do love the job. I like learning how to take care of the machines and learning how to understand them and the different problems that come up with them, especially since I want to have my own machine when I graduate. And I don't want to pay for someone to like come fix my machine when I already know how to do it, because that can cost like $100+, and I'm a broke girl. Not forever, but right now I'm a broke girl. So yeah, that's working in the fashion department. Like a little spiel, like yeah. You'll like if you ever work, like you'll learn more, of course, but I don't think I need to go too deep into that. So my issues with the department. I love the department. I chose SAIC fashion for a reason. And the reason was because like I said, I've been sewing for 8 years, like not 8 years. I've been sewing since I was 8. And I've been researching and like teaching myself different things about fashion and different things about patterning and different things about the body. And like I was teaching myself, and I didn't want to go to a school that would just teach me the basics. I wanted to go to a school that would teach me the basics, but also teach me how to push the envelope and go outside the box and not just make a shirt for the sake of making a shirt. I mean, if you like that, like that's fine, but you should choose a school whose fashion program is tailored to your needs, and don't just go there because someone says, oh, it's a good school. Like, you need to understand the kind of fashion you're looking for. You need to understand the kind of teaching and like curriculum you're looking for, because I've met a lot of people that got into the program and didn't really enjoy it, which is like, that's fine, because it just wasn't, it didn't align with them. And a lot of people think they can force that alignment, but, and I don't know, I feel like I'm describing this in like a sort of like club-ish way, but it's really just about like how you want to make fashion. If you want to make fashion, making like tailored things, you can do that in SAC, but like it's not as easy, because they'll push you to make more artistic clothes, more sculpturesque clothes. Like, they're very big on shape and how the body interacts with a garment. It's not really just like about wearable clothes, it's about making art, but fashion. So if you are interested in doing like more ready to wear, I would really honestly go for like an FIT. I don't know if I recommend Parsons, just because I have a lot of friends that have graduated from Parsons and their experience isn't like the greatest, but also that's subject to person. So like, in all honesty, I would just recommend going, seeing the school, and if you can like find people to talk to from the school, like do that, because like you really have to do your research when it comes to the program that you want to go into. But back to my issues with the program, I guess I get frustrated because a lot of people, like, I guess it frustrates me when people don't do their research, and people think something is going to be this way just because they feel like it. Like, this program has been this way for a while when it comes to them doing more artistic and not really ready to wear clothing. If you really do like the school and you really want to stick with it, you can make like your ready to wear kind of. I wouldn't say you could do it in like the core program, just because it's different in core. You can do like the bodybuilder and learn how to make the basic patterns, like the top and the skirt and like the suit and the pants. You can do that still in bodybuilder, but you're not like in the core program. You're just like taking some of the core classes. If you're not in core or the bodybuilder, I don't really think you have access to those like construction classes. You still have access to other classes that are still great. Like the corset class is really good with Liat. She's amazing. Ben, like I said, teaches a bunch of like shape and theory classes and other things that have to do with the body. There's like shoe classes if you're interested in making shoes, knitwear. Like, there are a bunch of different outlets. Like, that's like, I guess it's like leading into my issue is a lot of people think the program, like core, is the only way to be successful in fashion, and it's not. It's really about like how you want to be successful. Like, don't just go to a program because someone says it's good. Like I already said, like, there isn't one way to the end result. There's always multiple avenues and multiple streets and multiple highways. Like, it's not just a one-way thing. It's definitely good to make friends and to diversify your I guess like your company, like around you when it comes to fashion, and just like making sure that you choose something that is actually going to make you happy and something that you can actually see yourself doing. Because I don't know, I feel like college is very expensive, and going there and not I don't know. Am I making sense? I hope so. I feel like my words aren't really doing me justice right now, but I just feel like it's really important to choose a program that is right for you and a college that is right for you. Like, the reason I say that is because the other thing a lot of people don't realize about SAIC is that it's interdisciplinary. Even though like it's plastered on their website, interdisciplinary means like you are really like making your own major. So there aren't really like a lot of guidelines for you to follow. Like, yes, in fashion, like there are guidelines because that's a program that you apply to. And I think like with VisCom, that's a program that you apply to. But if you choose to be an interdisciplinary student, like it's the time to really take advantage of being able to take all of these different art classes and like figuring out your practice and figuring out what you enjoy doing. Just because like not a lot of schools that you do that. Like if you're in painting, you only take painting. I mean, like maybe you get to take one other class, but like I think that's like my favorite thing is you can mix two different mediums together, even if you're doing it in a class that is about one medium. Like if you're doing painting, but you mix it with photography or you mix it with like sculpture, it's like, whoa, people are like, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, like your teachers are like your mind. But it also depends on like your concept. But like that's what I mean when I say interdisciplinary. Like you can make your own practice and mix what you want to mix, and like you won't be frowned on like if you're in a class and you're mixing it with other mediums that aren't really typical. Like with photography, in one of my photography classes there was a girl that would paint on her photographs and it was beautiful, and it's her practice, that's her style, and it's encouraged to like find your style and find I don't know, just how you enjoy making art, because there isn't one way to make art. There's so many avenues. We already went into like the avenue and street scenario thing, but I keep going on tangents when it comes to like my issues with this school, or like my issues with the program. But I guess my main issue is that we don't really have Black or people of color professors. Like we do, but we don't really have access to them. Like Miss Dolly and Jaleesa, they're there, but they don't teach. They just run the Fashion Resource Center. There's Nick Cave and then there's Jack Cave, they're brothers, but they mainly just teach graduates. And I'm not a graduate. I don't have access to them. My boyfriend has access to them because he's a grad student, but I don't. Jack does teach like one class outside of the grad program, but like it's not enough. I want a teacher that is, I don't know, comes from, no, just put it simply, I just want a teacher that's Black, but a good teacher. Like there are so many amazing teachers of color, and just like, especially in fashion, like, I don't know, why don't we have more people of color? Like, yes, we have Yoshi, but she's Japanese and that's it. She's the only other person that isn't white. I mean, like, yeah, Ben is like French Canadian, but I need something, because there have just been too many incidents of race-related things in that program that people don't like see. And fashion in itself is something that really needs to be stirred, because people of color just aren't really represented. Maybe in models, but not really like designers or like higher up people, because I don't know, I think a lot of people just have an issue when it comes to paying for expensive things from like a Black artist, which is kind of frustrating. Granted, like not every situation is the same, but I just really feel like we would benefit so much from having a teacher that is not white. Like, yes, don't get me wrong, the teachers that are there are great. Oh, we do have Ray. We have Ray, but Ray also only teaches like seniors. But let's rewind. We do have Ray. I forgot where they're from, but I don't know what exactly they are, but they're more like Asian something, like I can't remember exactly where Ray is from, but Ray isn't white, which is nice. So like we have Ray and Yoshi, But like all of our other core teachers are white. And I don't know, I feel like we could really benefit from more, especially because there was an incident like a year or two ago about how a student who was Black was like a senior, had their runway show, and like they requested all Black models. They received someone that was Hispanic or not Black. They received someone that wasn't Black, and they were like, she's not Black. And they're like, well, she's close enough. It's about the same. What? What? No, it needs to change. It needs to change. The other thing is just like more financial opportunities, because there are a lot of people in that program that struggle, including myself, when it comes to paying for things and paying. Fabric is expensive. Like, there was one fabric that I got that was like, I think 30 plus a yard. There are more fabrics that are $50, $90, $80 a yard. And yes, I know we're not required to use those fabrics, but still the program in itself is expensive. Like the things you need to buy, like your freshman year, you have to buy the kit of like fashion tools that they ask you to buy. And that's about like $300, and you have to buy muslin consistently to make your like your mock-ups and to make your muslins. So I don't know, I just feel like more opportunities for the students, more breachings of the classes, like from like senior, junior, sophomore. I know that the fashion student chapter was created for that. We haven't, like they've had meetings, because I'm also on the board for that. I just want to see more, because it's a program that I love and that I enjoy, but I don't know, it could benefit from a few more things. And I don't know, I literally went to SAIC because, not just because, but it was a big factor that Nick Cave taught in fashion. But then when I got there and they're like, oh, he only teaches grads, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's my spiel. I think I covered everything on my list. Oh, is it worth it? That was my last thing. Is it worth it? For me, yes. For you, I don't know. Did this video answer questions for you? I guess it really depends on like how you feel. Because saying, is it worth it, is really, it's like, what's that word? Perspective? Retro. It's like, it's specific to like each person if it's worth it or not. I also have other friends that just go to SAC, they're not in the program, and they left because they just didn't feel like it was serving them. And I also think it's really important just to end the video with, it's okay if you try something out and you find that doesn't work for you. You don't have to stay just because like you're afraid of, I don't know, like just because you're afraid of not being or not following the normal path. Like if something doesn't serve you, if something doesn't work for you, don't stay there. Don't continue doing what doesn't work for you. It's literally insanity. Like it's okay if you switch programs. It's okay if you apply to fashion, do the program for a semester and you don't like it, that's fine. At least you're trying, at least you are, I don't know, putting in an effort, it requires a lot of courage to do a lot of things in college. College is not easy, especially when it's expensive, and as expensive as SAIC is. So I don't know, I think people need to give themselves a little more credit for the things that they're doing and the things that they're trying. So yeah, that's my spiel. If you have any questions for me about fashion, about SAIC in general, I say this every time in every video, don't hesitate to DM me. I love talking to people about school, about, honestly, I just like talking to people. Yeah, I hope this video helped you. I hope it provided some insight into the fashion program at SAIC. Mind you, I didn't really mention all of the issues because I myself am not aware of every single issue. but this is just my perspective on the program and the school. So yeah. Also, another thing before I end, I mentioned either in this video or my other video that I'm going to New York for my internship. I'm thinking about vlogging it because it's for a really cool brand. I'm very excited. Just paid for my apartment up there. That was a check. It hurt my soul because New York is expensive. But to cut the long story short, I think I will vlog. If you guys will find that interesting, let me know. I'm not really like a YouTuber, so I just really make these videos for you guys and for you guys to see different things or like get information, because I love spreading information. So yeah, that's it. Bye.